Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
The cosmic flight systems is one of the steps that will bring maturity to man. And we especially set up to do this in the past 4 or 5 weeks. And now it's been set up primarily that is ready to be adopted, to be part of the operation of what we call cosmic flights. As we have finished with your flight testing people, your mobile people are the only ones which go through this process. Those of you who signed up to become mobile, now we ask you, those of you who want to be into what we call the moon and the space development, you'll become gradually involved. We'll bring you in the way we brought, the way you came, the way we interacted with you. The mobile, what we call passengers, will be brought in, moved from one place to another, and gradually we establish a new flight system, new arrival system, because you don't fly anymore. You arrive at the destination. This is part of what we call progressive development of the knowledge for us to be. When I walked into the system this week, it was amazing what I could see. When I walked in and I felt the field forces of it, it was amazing how much, how deep I could feel to not the essence of the physicality, but to the essence of the soul. Mankind is ready to take that a step up. And as I said, the new system's getting finished, hopefully in the next 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending what our people do. We'll start the mobile system transmutation. As I said, our first passenger has been chosen. We have moved certain things to position in Austria that we can deliver, we can go through the process. Then we inform you as a mobile, what we call test people, what you need to do. We ask you clearly what you need to do, where you want to go, and what you have to do before we move. You live in Los Angeles and you want to be in Tehran. You have to follow a process, and systematically we get you deregistered in the United States with American customs, and we enter you into territory of Iran in the hand of the Iranian authorities. You want to go to Japan, it's the same. You want to come from Beijing to Austria, it's the same. Till we establish a system that the governments feel free with a movement. The biggest enemy, the biggest block for us coming to this point will be the government trying to control, trying to keep hold, trying to confine. There is one guarantee we will give. Anyone who enters these systems and anybody comes out of these systems will be peaceful, will not be an addict, will not be an alcoholic, and will never commit a crime. This is the cornerstones of the new development of the new technologies. Step by step, we have to, in a way, gain the confidence of what we call different parts of this planet, in each other, and in that process, that we don't rely on world leaders. As I said to the American officials a few days ago, which of the world leaders you want to bring in to stop the mayhem? You don't need to take them to The Hague and go to rigorous ways of months and years of courts. We want the world leaders, we move the world leaders to where, not the Americans, but where the society as a whole sees them to be fit to be there. Do we need to move the head of the states, which are what we call unjust, to a position of for them to be standing to their soldier position and return them back to their position? No man, no depth of this planet or universe is far away from our control and movement. The reality of the knowledge and the way we will touch will be shown in the coming weeks and months. As some of you know, we have started the shipment of the Universal Enhancement Units as of this month. And this is parallel to what is being achieved and what is going to be done. 6 units are getting set up to go to Arizona. 3 units will end up in the Keshe Foundation, what we call center in Germany. And then the production, which already be paid for the materials, the assembly of will start in December and in January. And we start delivering what we call the enhancement units as we have started this. We'll see, we understand, and we process the whole technology in Mongo. I hope humanity is ready for the change to come. And I hope humanity can understand the change that we bring. And I hope sooner than later, the world governments come to agree that we need to govern as one nation to be able to be governable. Otherwise, there is no way on this planet that you can hide and duck. Development and delivery of the what we call cosmic systems, which can contain the conditions of man's life in the universe, is in the process of completion. We can change, keep the dimension of the cosmos fields as it is for all the universe, and change the parameters inside to the earth level, to the level of the fields of a dog, a man, a tree. You want to feel how a tree feels? Now, with the completion of the dimension of cosmic peace, in a way to hold on, to get everything done, is possible. You wanted to know how it feels to be from another point and place in the universe. You change the environment inside the gravitational field string and the heartbeat and the condition of the field forces of the gravitational magnetic field of the position in time and space. You will arrive there instantaneously. As I said, many of you came at the beginning, and I repeated that many times. When you said you went to the depth of the ocean, when the first knowledge seekers came and said they could feel the moon and they could pick up the stones, we didn't laugh. We just learned from you how far our technology is correct. You can feel. Now we have to give you the physicality. Physicality could not be confirmed on the moon and Mars because we don't have the cosmic ray levels that it could support the life on the moon. Now we can. Now we have. And very soon, as I said to our colleagues in NASA, you choose. We'll take you there. And this is the understanding of the totality of knowledge of the creation. In the bandwidth of the strength of the life of the man in the dimension of the soul, we have the dimension fields of the universe and the universe. We didn't know. As we didn't know that our soul is in the center of our body, now we can move to that position instantaneously. It's for man to understand the dimension of the field forces of his creation, and for man to understand the power that this new technology will give to man. Man will live for thousands of years, millions of years on the planetary Earth dimension and size. We'll try to explain this in more detail, that gradually in the next 4 or 5 weeks, those of you who have registered for what we call mobile system, to be prepared to move. We don't want to bring you here to Austria. After the first 2 or 3 trials, we want you to appoint a place and a time on this planet. And then we move you. Then we put you there and then. And we allow you to be in that position. And you have to be prepared that whatever you receive at point of arrival, you have to accept, because that was your wish. You live in the cold places in Canada, and you wish at that time to be in California or Florida with your son or your brother. You will end up suntanned, perfect American accent, and with the clothes to be on the beach, which your soul chooses to be to cover itself. It will be very interesting. How many of you will make an appointment with your brother or your lover in the deep oceans, in a submarine, and how many of you will go in the depths of the caves to see if I can be seen, I can be taken through the earth materials? Test us. The only thing is, you can fail. Part of your leg will be on the top of the mountain and the rest of you down in the cave. It will be fantastic to see how fast you generate the leg you missed on top of the mountain. But this is now a reality, as the Frenchman felt the push of the soul, of the physicality of the journey. I, as I always say, welcome you to the new world of science, technology, and understanding of the creation of life on this planet. And I hope we'll see the end of all the miseries and mayhems for the human race.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 495th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 20th, 2023. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host today. And once again, in this weekly series of workshops, and once again, we have the pleasure and honor of being joined with Mr. Mehran Keshe, who will be delivering today's information and teaching. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin today?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this. With Knowledge Seekers of Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back. And we hope, as usual, we share more knowledge with each other and we learn from each other, as we are all knowledge seekers of the universe. As usual, before we start the sessions today, there are a few announcements we have to make that it makes it easy for a lot of us to understand some parts of the work of the Keshe Foundation. First of all, if you go back onto the Keshe Foundation website, store, you will see most of the products of the Keshe Foundation has been reduced to buy one, get one free, and the shipping cost on top. The reason for this is, as we said, we are closing our operation in Europe. And as we have signed with our new partners, as we said before, the takeover in management and the promotion of the Keshe Foundation products worldwide. And in the next 2 or 3 years, we'll see at least 10, 20, 30,000 new products in the market in the name of the Keshe Foundation, in the name of the Keshe product. We have to clear our stock, what is originally ours. And we go to that, or we start that path. And as we said, we are shutting down a lot of operations in Central Europe. And we become part of the Chinese national operation. We have joined forces with Chinese government, and we become international organization. The details of the joint venture has been signed last May. So for the first time we announced, Keshe Foundation moves its former operation to the Chinese central government's operation. And we have received a massive backing, and the new developments will come out of China Keshe Foundation. We thank Chinese leadership in recognizing the power of this technology. Many of our work has been centralized in China for the past few months since opening up the Corona, and you will see products from Keshe Foundation from China, but with the quality of the Western quality standard. In that process, whatever you have in the packages of the Keshe Foundation left is there at the prices, and the products will change to one next 6 months, a year, to a totally different way. Promotion and sale is out of our hand. There is scientific support and development. So if you go on the Keshe Foundation website, you will see products reduced or half price, or get one free. And it will be actually sentimental things, because that's the last time Keshe Foundation, as independent organization, puts products in the market. We are committed into Chinese government structure of signing contract that internally within China and externally outside China, all operations will be handled by the Chinese structure. So you will see us in what we call health, material, space. We are all tied up with Chinese central government and the structure. This will bring us to where we wanted to be, to push the technology beyond barriers, to push the technology in where we want it to be. And in a way, thanks to the work of our knowledge seekers in China, we have brought the technology to that level. And as I said, we thank the Chinese leadership, His Excellency of China, in realizing the value of the new technology and allowing us to become part of the Chinese, the structure of science and technology. You will see evolution and changes in our work in a way that would have taken us 30, 40 years to achieve, will emerge in the coming months and years. So the teaching will carry on. As part of our agreement, our teaching will not stop. The sharing of the knowledge will not stop, but the high-level technology texts in space, defense, and others will be collaborated and agreed by the Chinese authorities before we publish. In a way, there is no stranglehold, but it gives us a freedom to do what we do. Our research centers will move into the central Chinese government hand, which means Keshe Foundation will do research with Chinese and the rest of the world scientists. The operation of the space technology, the operation of the medical and everything else. Now we are a joint partner, signed and sealed with the Chinese central government. We are not going in partnership with the Chinese organization, but we are hand in hand in China to spread the technology very rapidly. We have done many years of tests. We have done many years of research with the Chinese, with the help of our knowledge seekers. And now we have become part of the Chinese central government structure of science and technology. And we've been backed by massive financial support. But the management of the Keshe Foundation in commercialization, not in the scientific side, is not with us anymore. So what you see on the shops is the last time you buy a Keshe Foundation product, which is done by Keshe Foundation. Even though the new products will be designed, will be evolved through the knowledge of the knowledge seekers. We invite many of you in the coming times to join us in our research centers in China as a joint venture international organization, even though the Chinese operation operates and will be through Chinese government. Our announcement is very simple. We have organized for a number of you, which you have paid, to meet with us end of August. The city chosen is the city of Manchester in the United Kingdom. The session will start at 9 o'clock on Monday the 29th in the city of Manchester. There is around 25 of you who have registered, or if you want to still join, we can add to it. Those of you who join these sessions will go through what we call flight test system, which means we bring you to the first cycle of testing and evaluation and evolving into the space flight. Some of you will test the new flight headset, and then from it we learn to add and will become part of the structure of what we call the next step in the space technology. All the data gathered and all the information given to you as the knowledge seekers in this group will be taken into October-November session in London. The ambassadorial meeting in London will come at the weekend of the next session in London. We had to move the London ambassadorial meeting to the first week of November instead of the last week of October, as Keshe Foundation has to be presented in one of the major conferences in health in China by the invitation of Chinese government as a new health technology to be introduced. As I said, we become part of the Chinese structure of the work, and our association group of national organizations, they want to introduce Earth technology of the Keshe Foundation in health as a world health, which we become part of in a conference in Macau on the last week of October. So to respect the request of our partners, we have moved the conference of the London ambassadors to first week of November. In the end of the first week of the November. And the week before, the 5 days before that weekend, we will have the knowledge seekers who will be part of the 200 in London to meet. And then we go into the weekend session of those who will join us in London, ambassadorial meeting, and you will rub shoulder with diplomats and ambassadors. And as now we become part of the national organization, you will see the invitation will come not directly from the Keshe Foundation, but many nations, Iranian ambassador, Chinese officials, Russian officials will be joining this meeting. This is important to bring the new technology forward. And this is important for us to change the course. In this process, we will bring a lot of changes. A lot of people in the background, especially Wang Lin, the Chinese management team of the Keshe Foundation in China, have worked relentlessly in the past few weeks to make sure everything is set. And we thank all of them. We thank the Austrian team, who's relentlessly has made sure everything is positioned. As the Chinese tested, we could deliver technologies that they could see and brought us to this position. So those of you who are meeting us on the 29th of what we call August for a week meeting in the city of Manchester, then we meet in the first week of November, and the weekend of the first week, we meet as an ambassadorial meeting, and then we see the opening of the Keshe Foundation International, some of the major scientific breakthroughs backed by one of the most powerful nations in the world. We are not talking this might happen. We have signed and sealed the agreement with the Chinese authorities in May of this year, and it's complete. And now we're in the process of the transition of handover, and as you've seen, the operation in Europe is coming to an end. Linz Center will close. We had the last people being at the center 2 days ago. We have a news for you. We have moved the operation of the wellness of the Keshe Foundation as a server operation this week to a new location. And what we promised you, that the server position for travel, for a space for wellness, now is officially taken place in location that will give you the pictures today. We are very open about it because now we can show that this technology will evolve into, we show the works of it most probably in the October presentation in Macau, that you will see evolution in the world of health and wellness. We are preparing everything to bring hand in hand with our partners of Chinese central government, the breakthrough in science and technology. As part of this work, in the past weeks, we have delivered one of the most major, powerful scientific breakthrough to convert energy into matter. And we have managed to produce 20 plus elements for it, confirmed by independent laboratories of the Chinese government, that the science breakthrough has come through showing that for the first time we can convert energy to mass. And this was to be watched. It was monitored, the whole operation, by Chinese military headquarters, head officers, that there is no interaction physically by Keshe Foundation, except placing, developing, and showing that literally the sky rained with material. So this brings a new breakthrough for the Keshe Foundation and the world of space technology. Now we can control what materials we get to space. It shows what we can produce in space without depending on Earth. This is where we'll see Chinese space technology will take a leapfrog, what we call evolution in science, and we'll see the change in the space technology in coming months, which means we can produce energies that can be converted into matter, and the matter can physically be checked and then be quantified and then bring its analysis. We have produced composite materials, which is something is just done in the creation, like alloys, like creation of ferrous and non-ferrous, metallic and non-metallic material together, which allows us to create life in a space. It allows us to create muscles. It allows us to create hard tissues on this planet, where we can virtually replicate in the body of the man during his own life repairs. If you had an accident, a knife, something goes through your body to your heart, you don't need to repair the part. You can literally rebuild it while it's in the system. And now that we have moved our wellness center out of the position of the Austria and into a new location,
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, Mr. Keshe. I'm not able to hear you. Okay, bear with us a minute while Mr. Keshe reconnects.
can you hear me now?
Yes, now we hear you.
Okay, you have to understand a lot of things in the background is trying to stop the information and the knowledge to be transferred. So with a new wellness center in location, the service centers of Europe, South America, and Arizona will come into operation in the next few months, which means you do not need to travel anywhere to change the condition, and will bring a new dimension to our work. Still, info at Keshe Foundation, health at Keshe Foundation, health at Keshe.Foundation. You can contact the wellness centers through us, that we can help you to do what you like to do. This brings us a lot of credibility. This brings us a lot of change. And thanks to our team, the new wellness center now is operational as of today. It was completed last night. So we have done a lot of work. We have brought a lot of changes. And now we are part of the international national organization, which will go through the next step. The confirmation of the production of the materials, composite materials, will be done with British nuclear fuel in UK during the conference we have in Manchester. British nuclear fuel headquarters is at Risley, which is not very far from Manchester and where I used to work. So we have set up a structure with British nuclear fuel to test independently conversion of the energy to mass. At the same time, we'll do the same systems in Washington and in NASA headquarters in Miami, which means at the same time, 3 centers will confirm the finding and operation and testing of the material conversion to confirm the correctness of the tests in China done by Chinese government. Which this brings a new change, new dimension into our work. It'll bring a lot of understanding. We did this test in an environment that was set for a specific job before, the way we used to do. And we confirmed we can even, through our tests, show what are the reserves, what other materials are within the structure of this area. This is another way that when we arrive on Mars, we can say what product, what materials is within it. We don't need to drill hole. We don't need to go and excavate. We don't need to mine. By putting the new technology on the surface, we can see what are the reserves of the planet, what the planet is made of. We don't need the probes and drill holes. With this technology, as we stay longer on the surface, we can go deeper in the surface and find out the inner minerals of what we call the planet. Can we survive
Can we take the shape of man? At what center? At how much depth? At what height? What will be the condition of life which matches near our life? Colonization becomes secure. These will be done with the Chinese national government space organizations. Achieving, traveling to Mars and Moon, and the rest will come into operation in the next few months and few years. Now that we don't have to have the financial worries, we don't have to, what I did for 20 years back in the Keshe Foundation and running into bandits and criminals that they tried to defraud us. Now, Keshe Foundation and knowledge seekers, we concentrate on delivering the new technology. That's all our job is. And we leave it to the most powerful nation on this planet. With the correct conduct, with a peace in mind, we have signed ourselves to technology in exchange for peace with the Chinese government. This was my dream. And now we've achieved it. With Chinese government, we deliver technology in exchange for peace for every nation which sign for One Belt, One Road. The Silk Road policy will become a peace policy in conjunction with the work of the Keshe Foundation. I'm trying to choose words which explain what we came here for. And we have achieved it. Chinese leadership has signed themselves to use the technology for development of peace, an end to the gun policy. And this is the reason we signed agreement with the Chinese. In the coming weeks and months, we will silence the nuclear bombs. In a way, we show them with the new technology, there is no need of weapon technology. And thanks to you, knowledge seekers, for so many years, backing us has brought us to this point. And in so many ways, I thank the Chinese leadership and Chinese military officers who work with us and are working for us to bring that change. A force, military force, which is now working with us to create the conditions scientifically to push armies to the peace armies. And it's beautiful to see how our team works with high-ranking military officers, hand in hand, to show the technology and leave it to them to bring the next step in. It's taken a long time. And in a way, the way I see it, in what we have signed ourselves to, we have made a peace army out of Chinese army. In the coming time, as the technology shows its power to be able to make redundant the weapon technology of the past, the arm race, more or less, with signing an agreement with the Chinese government, has come to an end. There is no race, as the technology is so powerful that makes the nuclear, supersonic rockets and the rest of it a toy in the hand of a child. We kept silence for the past few months, and we kept informing you we have achieved agreement. And now, with what we have in hand and the commitments I've made to the Chinese government, we'll work to bring that peace forward. Chinese government has committed itself to billions of dollars of investment in Keshe Foundation and its technologies. And all be monitored by the heads of the nation and not in the hand of the bottom line. You will see massive factories getting set up, producing products which bring China prosperity and brings fairness in wealth of the nation to give to the poor people what they could not have. And I thank our team in Austria, who's backed us solidly through all this troubled time. And as I said, maybe losing so much to the, what I call bandits of the Western world, it pushed us to do what we wanted to do, raising funds to bring peace through the powerful nation of China. Today's teaching, to me, is confirming what we worked for some 40 years to exchange knowledge for peace. And I see the beginning of everything which President Xi of China set out as a Silk Road to a peace road in the coming weeks and months. We exchange with nations the technology of health, feeding a nation in exchange for peace with the power of Chinese government. We deliver technology step by step. And the nations who are third world to us become equal to us in coming months and years, as the Silk Road policy of one road, one belt will change to the policy of peace, that Chinese will take leadership in changing and bringing peace. We deliver to nations through one belt, one road, the health, the feeding, the change in evolution of technology, in getting commitment from the world peace policy, dismantling the armies and joining one army of the science and technology with the power of the Chinese government. It's taken us and the Chinese team 6-7 years in China, relentlessly traveling, showing, experimenting, and now we are ready to go. And I thank again the Chinese team, the Austrian team, and the rest of knowledge seekers who allowed us to achieve this point. You will see, as I said, it's the last time you buy Keshe Foundation products from Keshe Foundation. We would not do this if we were not at this point. And our operations in Europe cease to exist in the next few weeks as we transfer everything into China and from China back to the rest of the world. Now you understand why the intro today was chosen this way. And everything with Chinese is perfection. It has to be checked, it has to be done. It has to be correct, and then we deliver. It's taken years to get to this point, and it's taken years of hard work and sharing knowledge openly that it has brought us to this position. And as I said, my vision was knowledge in exchange for peace. And I have found the partners that us as knowledge seekers can be proud of. We exchange knowledge with the Chinese government to bring peace to the rest of the world. And we respect and honor Chinese signature to the document. The teaching of today comes in another way. We always spoke about the trouble. We spoke about the soul. We spoke about how we can transfer energies. What we have seen in the test in the past few weeks with our Chinese counterparts is brought in a very deep science of creation, physicality in arriving in a new position will change. How do we change the environment to fit us? In tests, we have seen how we can, by changing environment, change, for example, copper to zinc. Even though the behavior is a copper, but to exist in a new environment, will take characteristics of zinc, for example, which can live in this environment. This is important, that we understand in transmutation, for example, our muscles as copper-based will change to zinc-based, but the life will carry on in the new dimension. The life will step forward in that dimension. The life will become, in a way, still in physical dimension, but in another order. What it means, if, for example, we change the gravitational magnetic field of an environment, then we see even ourselves as different creatures on this planet. It means if we change the inertia, the strength, in a given matter state and in a given gravitational magnetic field, we will see mutation without actually traveling the space. And when we reach this point, when we reach this level of knowledge, we can travel to the point of destination by already mutating at the point of departure. That when we arrive, we do not need to adjust. In a way, if you look at it, we put a spacesuit already on Earth before we travel to Mars. This gives us a dimension of understanding the mutation of the element as an energy. When we monitored the production of the what we call materials in our test, we noticed in a different way, in different compositions, how fields interact. Part of this has been videoed. In the future, when we come to an agreement with our group, we will release these videos because at the moment are property of the Chinese military. We will show and you will see how the structure will change by properties of the field. This will allow us to transmute instantaneously. Then the time of travel in a deep space is the time of thinking. When you think, you transmute. On Earth, you have already a start life of the point of destination. This will change and brings new dimensions in the space technology. In a way, we change, we guarantee life in a dimension of physicality at point of arrival. Not arriving with the uncertainty that how we arrive and what will be the change. In a way, it's like going into a shop and buying a dress. You don't get the dress as you arrive at the party. You can test the dress in the shop. Does it suit? Am I happy with it? Can I live with this suit? Maybe 20 arms and 30 legs. The soul of physicality will accept the change, and then the soul of the man will go through the transition of the change at the point of arrival. This is a change. This is a huge understanding in science and technology. There's a huge change in how we'll come to travel the depth of the space. We don't need no more monkey suits. We don't need no more what I call conversion and dressing ourselves up and become prisoners. If you look at the space technology of today, be it the Chinese Space Agency, be it NASA, They don't give us freedom. We go into a monkey suit, and when we arrive, we are still in the monkey suit. You cannot hug your partner and feel the emotion and have the love and spacesuit. We cannot live that life. We cannot travel the span of universe with the monkey clothing, with a spacesuit. We have to suit the space, which means when we arrive, we are part of the environment and we are not outsiders. And with the test we've done in the past few weeks, a lot of this has become clear. You got to understand, when I stand with the test and watch the test, people look at the material condition, what is produced, how it's produced. I look at the field transition, transmutation. As one of our colleagues during the test said, just in the room reigns with everything. Is not anymore at the point, the source, literally the whole environment. Even the observation of our team in development was outside the building, they could see the rain. It wasn't confined to the space lab where we were testing, which means we have managed to cross matter state, which means there is no barrier. The glass, the brick wall has no meaning anymore, which means we can go through the dimension of space with the strength of the man as the soul of the man. The observation we had in the past weeks of testing with our colleagues, with the Chinese officials and the military, is brought closer for us to bring the reality of the space travel to the time, the place, and the position of the departure. How these fields will interact with us. We see a new dimension in the health. We see a new dimension using these fields to expand the soul beyond and within. What this means, now you expand your soul to the point. Now you can expand your soul into a plasma in the dimension of the universe. The longer we run these systems, the longer we extend the field of these systems, the further in universe we can travel. At the moment, we put fuel in our rockets and we can go 200 kilometers up. We can fuel our rockets and go far enough that we can use other rockets to go to the moon. The new science, the new understanding, the new technology is by the expansion of the sphere of the field beyond the solar system, beyond the galaxy. And as we are within it, we can travel any point in it, which means instantaneous zero time transmission. We try to set this up for the meeting of Manchester, that some of you will taste, will see, you'll feel this change. Transmutation through the soul, transmutation through understanding of everything else. Don't forget, when you join us in Manchester, you're part of teaching while you're learning from you. You become our guinea pigs as much as we become your knowledge of destination. How much you will learn. Most of you will attend the conference in London and in Manchester. Your life will change. In a way, you come to understand different dimension, different understanding. And then the final session of the 65 will take place in the city of Beijing, China, in December of this year. That 65 will be trained to become the first cycle of the passengers. We'll have many Chinese citizens as part of the 65, without a doubt, as we are centralized in Beijing. Then we'll start the transmutation. what we call the transition time. And hopefully by December, we will see the first two space people, Russian and a German, to take flight. And we'll go into the next step with the rest. In all the meetings of the 25, the 265, the couple, the Russian and the German, will all be part of the 25. That they go through the transition, that they go through understanding, that we make them ready as the first people to take transmutation in the dimension of space and time. We will come to understand more. We will come to see more. And in a way, we increase the dimension of the plasma, maybe to the size of the universe over years. It needs time to grow. It needs time to link up. It needs time to come in. And in that process, the soul of the Alamitra will be within it to create the new source, to the new race. And she has been in it from the beginning of the trance. In so many ways, we'll bring a new dimension. We bring within us the new expansion in the science of space and technology. In a way, financial strength is irrelevant as only man-made. Weakness of the health of the man is irrelevant because it's only entangled with the physicality of the man. We don't get the sick souls. We get different strength of souls. And in that process, we go to the next step. It would be interesting how many of you, when you attend the conference in Beijing, will be speaking Chinese fluently without you knowing. It'll be interesting to see how the peace process from November to end of December will change governmental policies around the world, as through the expansion of the field, we reach the soul of the world leaders. The world has been yearning for this, to bring all equal, and then we see the process. It'll be interesting to see how the process of the development of the soul will bring one soul out of all of us as a common denominator. In a way, when you look at a stone, one atom of a stone in one position is no different than the other. It's equal. So shall be the soul of the creation. And then we see the next step. Then we see how this strength will come in. How will it be? As I said, I have no financial limitation with my signing of the agreement with the Chinese government in development. We can prove it, we can show it, we are financed for to do it in trillions. The restriction of financial game is over for us, as now our job is just to develop technologies after technologies to bring prosperity to the nation of China and the rest of humanity, headed by the Chinese leadership. We have a say in how and where, and they have a say at what is speak. Don't forget, we can reach the soul of all of us with the new technology to elevate, to go to the next step as we expand this sphere, learning languages, changing the crime scene. As I said, no jails, no courts, because none of us will commit a crime. We'll have no addicts. The end of drug trafficking, the end of child abuse, all will come through transfer of the balance of the soul and the soul of physicality in dimension of physicality. When we did the test in elevating the soul of the abusers, the Keshe Foundation team in the background and us looking on the graphs, we saw how at one point all three ran one straight line, which meant they became one. And I said to our colleagues, we've achieved what we came here for. One day we'll release this graphs and these data, and you will see that's why we didn't take any survey from you, because we knew we achieved in dimension of the soul. In the next 2-3 weeks, on the 14th, which is tomorrow, 21st, which is tomorrow, on the 14th, that's last week, and 28th, we'll bring that. Some of you say, I don't feel anything. Some of you have tasted a new dimension of life. Those of you participated, and those of you who want to participate, the channels are still open. You can join us and bring that change. In the conference in Manchester, many of you will change. Many of you will change in a coming time to become ready for that process of becoming man of universe. You gain the knowledge through the souls, not through schools. And this is what we came here for, to bring the change. In the test we done in past few weeks with the Chinese military and government officials, we have seen a breakthrough in total field development. A breakthrough that it could be seen, now it could be explained, that others understand that does not become exclusivity of anything. We brought the knowledge to the position of understanding the knowledge of the universe, where as we expand in the sphere of the magnetic field, the plasma of this, what we call systems, whoever is in it become knowledge of all of it, which all carry. It'll be interesting at the end of the sessions in Manchester, in London, and then in the city of Beijing by the end of the year, how you, knowledge seekers who participate, will see the change in your life. In the dimension of physicality. In the dimension of understanding the whole process. And then we'll see the next step. In 2024, we'll introduce a new space development technology which is unknown to man. And I started this process a few weeks ago, speaking about the life, the cycle of life, and the misunderstanding and assumption on this planet. If you remember a few weeks ago, I explained that the life on this planet cannot be 13 billion years. It's all mistaken. I brought the dimension of what we say the size of the universe by our scientists and the rest. And I received past few days a link from someone that this planet is actually more than 26 billion, double what we thought before. But as the knowledge expands, we will see the life of this universe is in thousands of billions of years. But that is in man's billions of years. In the life of the universe is a second. Just created. There is no time and space in the universe. In the coming time, in the coming progress in development and science, we all learn new languages of technology. And the amazing thing is, the youngsters will understand it better than the older, because the older have already ingrained with the wrong information. And we bring it out to be understood, therefore. So, in the coming weeks, in the coming months, be ready for that change. The teaching will come in an open manner, no formulas. You have to understand to change it to a system, which that system is your soul. How you want to link, how you want to create that link, how you control the strength of that link. And in so many ways, how you can make one soul out of the whole race of the Creator. And that is the ultimate goal. And in time, man will understand. And in time, the universal community will understand. In time, the changes will come in a position and in understanding of the science of creation, which is very different than the science of the man, which he has made for himself to understand the matter state of his life. Now we understand the power of the plasma, or what we call magnetic field motion of the creation. The most beautiful time for human race has arrived. And the beauty of it is we are all in it, and we will work all together for it, and the change will come. In the next few months, with the development of technology, we'll see the silencing of guns as the Chinese government will enforce peace in exchange for technology. With it, we'll see the change in American policy of gun policy as the nuclear weapons of America will become worthless. Then we talk as one nation what we do together and not one against each other. In so many ways, we deliver so much technology to the hand of the Chinese government with the what we call agreement for peace that does not make Chinese government to become a superpower, but become all-inclusive power of all the humanity. I trusted the Chinese leadership, and in this trust, we have seen the correct conduct of the officials in the operation in the past few months. And we agree to go to the next step and are open a flow of new knowledge, an ocean of knowledge to the Chinese leadership, that they choose which part of this ocean of knowledge can be used to speed up the process of humanity to become peaceful, for everyone to be fed, and there'll be no hunger. But as we expand this sphere of the plasma, as I said, a Chinese military guy watched it outside the building, not inside the building. As he expanded, they stood outside, they saw they can see things flying outside, not just in the room. And this brought us the expansion time. And this expansion can be gradually throughout this planet and then beyond. I developed technologies for peace, and I developed knowledge to create the condition of peace. As always said in China, Chinese government does not put gun on the street. Chinese government creates conditions that no one can commit crime. Committing crime, it becomes so hard that you don't even think about it. And this is the way to do. We create so much knowledge that no man needs to go hungry. No man needs to commit crime to feed himself and his children. And now we have found the position to do. The center of knowledge will be based in China, and laboratories and the structures are set gradually in the coming months, that knowledge seekers who work with us will come into it. As knowledge seekers, you become teachers because you have that knowledge, you have understood it, and now it's time for you to teach. We call upon many of you to join the Keshe Foundation research centers in China, and then spread the knowledge out back to your countries as we develop very rapidly new technologies. The Chinese leadership and Keshe Foundation management leadership will work hand in hand to bring the new technologies. And we make sure that it's equally shared, but it's not used against each other. As I said, I thank the Chinese team, especially Mehran, Chanin, Chao, and Xiaojin, and many others who stood behind us, and the Chinese officials who spent every day with us for the past 7 years, day in, day out, making sure the structure is set up. And now Chinese Keshe Foundation and the Keshe Foundation of Technology has become part of the 14 and 15 program of the Chinese government, which means we have become part of the national structure of science and technology and development of the nation. And in so many ways, you knowledge seekers from outside, you'll see the change as we are part of the national program of the world most powerful nations and a peaceful nation. And I thank our team in Europe, especially Austrian team, the American team, the team in Iran who literally stood behind. And we thank the Iranian team, especially with all the suffering they suffered in the past few months, as we concentrate to complete our work with the Chinese. We go through a break and we come back. And if there is any questions to answer, we answer. But in one point, I have come home. And I delivered what I promised. Rick, would you like us to take us to break?
Very good, Mr. Keshe. Thank you. Okay, this is the 495th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 20th. We'll take a few minutes off here and return for the second half with questions that Mr. Keshe can answer.
The Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The very first new evolutionary spaceship technology has been rolled out for mass production. Embedding the essence of the new GANS plasma science and technology, it uses collective plasma field technology for changing and enhancing the environment of the body of the man. This new plasma enhancement changes the environment of the body to allow it to return to its natural, balanced, energetic condition, as in the womb of the mother, allowing every cell in the body of the man to find its natural, original field strength balance. The shape and field distribution in this new space plasma technology replicates the inner structure of the universe and replicates the balance fields from which the man was created at the point of inception in the womb of the mother, not only receiving balance in the physical, but also in the emotional sense too. This new spaceship technology can be within the reach of every man today and can be ordered by medical practitioners, sports specialists, and healthcare centers. The Universal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the future you have been waiting for, is here. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A space technology that allows us to work with the fields of the universe, creating a wide range of plasma field interactions and conditions. It allows the body to process itself from any physical or emotional imbalance. Once this balanced condition is achieved, the soul and emotion of the body can follow to find their balance and elevate the whole of the man. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, technology of the future through advanced plasma knowledge. The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food, or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology.
Okay, we're back now at the 495th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. This is the second half, and generally we have questions from the audience. Mr. Keshe, are you ready to begin? Is there something you'd like to say first before entertaining questions?
No, you're ready to answer any questions. There is something I received the message. The products which are offered are the products which only till they are available. Once they are sold out, there is no more further products, and will be taken off the what we call Keshe Foundation product list. We are now going to repeat, and most of these products will never be repeated, as our what we call partners look at the structure of the retail and commercialization in a different way than we used to do. So whatever is there is, that's all. And you can take it for sentimental value or whatever, or for usage, but this is what we call. The last time Keshe Foundation as an independent organization will produce materials. Any questions?
Okay, we have a couple of hands up here from Dirk. Well, we did have two. We just have one now. Dirk, go ahead if you could speak, please.
Good morning, Your Excellency, and all knowledge seekers worldwide. It took a long time to come to Linz. I apologize for that. But it was a pleasure to me to see what my work is on this planet. And it's a planet opener. And for that, Your Excellency, I thank you very, very much. So that the planet comes from the root and heals itself and opens it up from the root. That's a very joyful task for me personally, because also for me personally, it took a long time to realize which reincarnation I am personally. I mean, you know it, the first time I sent a letter to the foundation, you saved so much times my life, and I thank you for that a very long time. And by the way, the square sum of this Knowledge Seeker Workshop is 18. So that means to me that not only I got mature, but the whole Keshe Foundation worldwide got mature. Thanks a lot to all of Knowledge Seekers and you personally. And I have a lot of ideas which I want to realize with you all together. And I'm grateful to be a part of the Keshe Foundation team.
All right. Thank you, Dirk.
Any other question?
We have another hand up here with Ione, I think is how you say that. Let me allow you to open your microphone there, and if you could go ahead.
So, good morning. Do you hear me?
Yes. Is it Ione?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. I booked a ticket for the July 14 sessions, but I did not receive the Zoom link. I wrote to the customer support to reconsider the reservation for July 21st or 28th, but I did not receive any reply. Please help me to participate.
There are a number of people. Send an email to info@Keshe Foundation. Apparently, there are 2-3 people who have not actually linked up. Our service does not show they even attempt to come in.
So to info
at Keshe.Foundation. I know I was told yesterday, the day before, there are a couple of people who could not log in because of their own side. Your Zoom is not connected because we monitor everything.
No, my Zoom is okay. I wrote to the Keshe Foundation 2 days ago.
Yeah, can you go on your junk and go on your and look for an email from Keshe Foundation? Don't look at your normal email site. A lot of people email where to link up was gone, or it goes to the junk. Your link was sent to you or has been sent to you, and it's gone to your junk section of emails. You'll be admitted to the next one because you missed the last one. It's not a problem.
So tomorrow I receive a link, eh?
You check your junk.
I check it. Nothing is there.
Send a message to info, and I'll get the IT people to look for it. We know one other person apparently missed it as well, but they couldn't get in through the Zoom fault. You have to log in to get in. But we had all the people who were there last week. Nobody had any problem, but 1 or 2 people we know couldn't get in. We have another one from US. I think we had the same problem. And we had one from Germany who actually, just because he signed, he never paid for it. He thought it just come in and payment will go through. So we've told them, just because you signed, it doesn't come in, I was told. So we check in, send the information to info, and you'll be admitted for tomorrow if everything is okay.
Thank you. I hope so.
Thank you very much. We have no problem. Last week we had 70, 80 people on the panel. So it's just we have to find out why you don't get in, and that's the IT job, not ours. Any other question?
Okay, we had a question in YouTube from Lacerdio. It's Roland from Germany. I have a question for Mr. Keshe. When will the electric gas generator be delivered? Thank you for your service.
We are hopefully, this should be done this quarter or next quarter, as we agreed. We're trying to see if we do it through China, and this will be a rapid production, and we don't see any problem with it. We had to stop a lot of things, move a lot of things in the background to move our operation into China. And now you're all fully aware of what is happening and what's happening. And in the coming days, we will meet with what I call Chinese officials in that line. And we are setting up, the factories are setting up. We've been on a trip in the past few days to central China, choosing the new factories and sites for the Chinese Keshe operation, where a lot of things will take place. The good thing with it now is that we don't have to worry. We just say, yes, this site fits us, we can do, and the rest is in the hand of the officials to arrange and get it done. But it should be done in this quarter or next quarter. We just got to see, because it has a lot of things to do. It's like the same as the house unit. That has to go through the certification, which a lot of things was done by Austria. to bring that it can get certified. A lot of changes test was done because the units which came from Iran would not meet the standard, European standard. You know, a team in Austria did a lot of work for this. And it should be easy to get done. And the head units are all going through the same process.
Okay, we have a question in the Q&A from Carlos of the group in Brazil. He has a question about whether water is a beautiful GANS or a beautiful liquid gas. It could guide us on oxygen as one of the main agents of life, as it is the common denominator between the liquid part of this planet, which is water, and the structure of the body, which is amino acid. We should have already understood this in our GANS boxes when the amino acid forms at the top. He mentions they have new knowledge seekers participating in the group in Brazil. Thanks for the guidance.
We have a property within oxygen which behaves like what I call gravitational point of the liquid and gas together. We have gravitational fields of this planet which connects to iron. That has a common denominator with oxygen. And when you speak about oxygen on its own, is a gas. When you speak about the hydrogen on its own, is a gas. But when you mix these two together as H2O, in inertia and gravitational magnetic field of the Earth, the new combination exists in both dimensions depending on the field strength and then the matter strength and what we call energy. What this means, in a matter state, this gas become liquid as water. If you bring it into the plasma energy level of it, it behaves like gas. We see this as part of the work and understanding of the behavior of materials. And this is why we can boil it, we can steam it, we can vaporize it, and we can separate it. Many of you should have understood this when you created CH3 and when you created CO2 and when you mix the CO2 with CH3. The CO2 and CH3, the carbon stays in a matter state gaseous condition of gas, where hydrogen and oxygen stay in energy level of the gaseous, which is different than the matter state combination. In the coming days, we will conduct a test in China where we will show new characteristics of gases, which is unknown to the present world of knowledge and science. And with this, we actually show how the new or the old systems of detection and confirmation does not work with plasma energy. And this will set cornerstones for development of new equipment for the detection of the plasma. In a test to be carried out by the Chinese laboratories for Keshe Foundation, we will show a new dimension in the world of science that separates the Keshe technology completely from matter state physics of today. We did this test some years ago in Belgium, and we kept very silent about it as what I call technology development, which was exclusive of the Keshe Foundation. And we use it in matter development quite rapidly and strengthened. And now, as we become part of the work with the Chinese government, what we call Chinese scientists have to understand this, that we get collaboration between the two sciences of matter and plasma. And in that process, we can show the characteristics of, for example, hydrogen as a gas and oxygen as a gas, and the combination of the two as a plasma, but within the inertial magnetic field of the planet. This will give us a huge advantage in science and technology and separation of the two sciences. So, yes, both are gases, and a combination of the two as a gas creates a liquid conditional upon inertia and the gravitational magnetic field of the Earth. Where in a matter state, gravity comes from iron. In a liquid and gas state, gravity comes from oxygen. Even though the two coexist as one in respect to the others. Because part of the gas is part of the plasma state of the gas, converts into matter state while it still is in the state of plasma. So it shows itself as matter, as a gas, but in fact is a state of plasma. Now, with the new research centers and with the capability in our hand in the coming years, you will see Keshe Foundation centers, research centers will solve a lot of these things and open new dimensions in science. This is why we see strange things when we do things, because we always consider what we do is just matter and matter condition because we call them. And maybe by next week or the week after, we might open this new science and technology with the permission of Chinese government officials, that this knowledge can be released in public. Then you will understand. If you understand one point is, for example, nuclear warhead, we can change the nuclear warhead material into a gas state, which has no effect, while it is within the warhead. We change it to a plasma of itself, which releases and converts material. In a way, what we say, we transmute you from here to there. Americans can launch a warhead, but inside it is nothing on the warhead. Even the rocket flies. And this is the beauty of new technology, understanding it. It's like shooting a blank bullet. And this is part of understanding the changes. Transition between matter and gas. And this is what happens with water. We are so used to it that we have forgotten or we never understood the reality of the existence of it, how two gases make a liquid. But in fact, they're still in the state of plasma. And that's why 95% of our body mass is a plasma of water, not water. And in the world of science, they say 95% of our weight is water. In fact, is a plasma of water, as we always said. Within the skin of the man is a different atmospheric condition. Any other question?
I have a question in YouTube from UFO Mark II. When the energetics change does happen for humanity of using plasma technologies, will it complement the parts of the secret space program technologies, such as counter-gravity crafts, zero-point energy, and medbed technologies, etc.? How will it affect those existing technologies?
Can you repeat that?
Just get it clear here. When the energetics change does happen for humanity of using plasma technologies, will it complement the parts of the secret space program technologies, such as counter-gravity crafts, zero-point energy, and medbed technologies, etc.?
This is somehow, I think governments will not ever stop the secret program. It gives the leaders to somebody special. And this will come to a point of governments and not the Keshe Foundation. And if we stop research and development just because a new technology has come, we come backwards. Innovation and development of new technologies is the must for the human race. The moment we stop because we think we found the final solution is the time in which we stop maturing. And governments will not stop developing, exploring the limits of the knowledge of mankind. And I think with the new technology coming up, these secret technologies will change drastically. Because now there'll be more need for finding more. The secret programs will become much, much deeper and much bigger. Because once we consider ourselves as one race, then there will be no secret program. But as long as we are proud in the color of the skin, the language or shape will keep us divided and will create this mess. I had a very strange experience yesterday. I was in a playground passing, and I heard a blonde young girl in her 5th and 6th telling another person, "Can't you see my skin is white? I'm not one of yours," that kind of thing. And I thought, oh my God, at this age is ingrained in the brain of this child that she's different and superior because she carries a white skin. And it was regrettable to hear this. When the color of skin does not matter, then we become equal. Till that time, we'll suffer extensively. Rick, I am forwarding you a video. You can play this video, and it'll be interesting to play it back. And I'll explain to you when you receive it. It's on the transition to you. It's getting transferred. It takes a few minutes. You will see the first server space wellness center in the world. This is the beginning of, and this center was completed yesterday. And in the coming weeks and months, you will see Arizona, Uruguay, China, Tehran will be equipped with these equipments, which One service center can serve tens of thousands of ill people around the clock, irrespective of national color and race. The same machine is used for a man in China as for a woman in Brazil and in Tehran and in Africa. These systems are already operational in the hand of the Chinese, what they call our doctors. And now for the first time, we show you the future of the space technology in wellness. Have you received it?
Yes, I'm just about to play it here.
Okay, thank you very much. This is what you see, is what is to come. It's the first time you see a Space Center, Wellness Center. These systems can reach man in the deepest part of the universe. We can hear somebody breathing very hard. As you can see, the transmutation and transportation of the soul and the physicality is within the system. And you will see each system on its own. It can reach all conditions of unwellness of the body of the man operated by doctors. This is not a Keshe Foundation, what we call a space, but it's part of the space program. And for the first time, we show what is to come. And these machines have been operating for past 12 months. We know how they work. And some of you who've been to LINS sat in some of these systems. Now they've been positioned as one of the first wellness centers in the world. Thank you very much. Now you see the future of wellness, feeding and making peaceful man out of the man. Thank you very much, Rick.
Do you want me to play that again, or is that enough?
I'll play it again. You can play it again. Is in this center in the coming months, hundreds of these units will be installed. And more or less anyone in the world can reach. As you can see, there is room enough to add huge number, and the doctors will monitor everything remote. Many of you have been through this system and you sat in it and you've been part of it. And many of you now using our doctors to use these systems. Now you can see what technology is helping you. This is more or less the hospitals of tomorrow. With no patients. Any other question?
Okay. Perhaps we can go to Saeed's question in the Q&A, who asks, hello, Mr. Keshe, can we develop motors and generators based on Magrav's plasma energy, just like electric motors and generators?
Yes, but they're more powerful if you know how to use it. You can stop the video when it finishes and go to your standard pictures, please. Yes, it can be done. It is possible, but you have to understand how.
And he had another question. Can we develop wires and circuitry that does not need nano coating?
What does that mean?
I'm not sure, perhaps going beyond nano coating, plasmatic wires and circuitry, perhaps. I think you mentioned that before, or have used that before in the past. But he would have to explain more what he means by that. Okay, we have a hand up here with Lynn. Would you like to go ahead, Lynn?
Yes. Hello, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Our Chinese team has some question. Knowledge seekers from knowledge seeker. He said, "Hello, Mr. Keshe. There has one paragraph in the 14 days peace blueprint teaching. It said, when the physicality reached the point of balance of the field of itself, the essence of our creation is released to lead to a bigger creation, not only to our meager existence of our physicality." He wants to know what that means when physicality reach the balance of its own field, and what's the symptom for if the physicality is not in balance. What is the reason to cause the unbalance, and how to reach the balance of the physicality to its own field?
When you reach a balance, there is no sickness.
达到平衡，那就没有 sickness。sickness
You have to go another channel, Wang Lin.
Oh, sorry. I
We
switch
can
over.
hear you Chinese on this side. When you reach balance, there is no sickness. And when the balance reach between the soul of the man, the soul of physicality, and physicality of the man is more or less, we call it reaching heavens. The ultimate goal, the ultimate position. And in time, this will bring what we call everlasting life in all three dimensions. This is part of the work of understanding, part of the principle of understanding. You have to go a step further in totality of understanding the fields interaction. And we always said the stronger feeds the weaker to become in balance. In the human life, this balance always is blocked by emotion. It's like a short circuit in the work of the creation of physicality. And with a new understanding, a new development, with a new cycle, the systems are just seen, we try to reach a point where the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man and the physicality of man, they don't see each other as different, or will not be different, as the emotion is the same between all three dimensions. And this is what is lacking within the magnetic field of the earth. I explained this once before, maybe I explain it in a different way today. A small tilt in the position of the rotation of the earth creates the seasonal and daily changes. If you understand this, it's the same planet, the same beauty, but it goes through different emotions: winter, summer, wind, and the rest, because it's a slightly out of position. It's the same when one of the three, the soul of physicality, and the physicality of man, one of them is slightly out of position. It creates diversity, which some of this diversity means killing. It's not in harmony with the other two. And the same as the seasons, creating different emotion, carrying the characteristics and seasonal changes. This slight deviation in the emotion of the physicality of the man, which comes from the wrongly field given by the field of the earth, has created that tilt. And now we're trying to correct it. That does not create emotion, which are wrong. And this is the job of the new science and technology. Doesn't take long to create that little tilt to go back and create different emotions. Then all the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man become on one line, and thou shalt not commit a crime. And that's all it is. As the physicality of the man, as an emotion, is gravitational magnetic field plasma based, so we can correct it with the new technology. And this is what we'll come to realize more of. Any other question? While Wang Lin is on the line, I would like to thank you personally for all you've done for the Keshe Foundation in China. In the past 6-7 years, relentlessly working to come to an agreement with the Chinese government in what has been achieved in past 2 months. And I'm sure our job has just started, as up to now was just a taste of work. Thank you very much for your work and your team. Any other question?
Okay, a question from the Brazilian community, once again from John Lopez this time. Good morning. I have a question to Mr. Keshe. You commented in one of the recent previous workshops about the recent passing of Dr. Barapur, a very assiduous doctor on Keshe Foundation. We know that our soul is eternal. I would like to know if his soul will continue to work in the Keshe Foundation towards the goals of the Keshe Foundation in the perfect harmony of the universe.
It'll never stop. He was a beautiful man, and he walked through his soul, the physicality. His work had a dimension of physicality in it, but he served through his soul. He did everything devoted to serving humanity, and will never stop. This will never stop. His work will never stop. Many of you, especially the Iranian team, knows how he worked. He even nearly lost his surgery. He will not go to his surgery during Corona because helping the Keshe Foundation was more important. Helping the sick people in Iran was more important than his surgery and his patients. He used to go to work 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, that people were asleep, and his patients used to come to his surgery because during the day when he was needed, he'll be there. That's how he was. Many times, knowledge seekers went to him for help for dental work. They had to go to him 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because daytime, when there was a need, there were sick people, there were things to be done for the foundation. He was there. And because he was such a perfect man, his patients accepted to go to him 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And he served. And he's still serving with his soul. We lost one of the most beautiful men in the Keshe Foundation, but in the dimension of physicality. Blessed is so. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. A question from Pamela from the Brazilian community. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. We learned that for the soul of the man to expand and envelop the soul of physicality and physicality, the magnetic field of the soul of physicality needs to weaken. Thinking about transmutation, in order for the physicality to manifest at the point of arrival, would the same have to occur with the soul of the man? Would the soul of the man need to weaken its field strength to allow the soul of physicality to go outside?
Yes, can you? What is the question?
Okay, I guess the basic question is, would the soul of the man need to weaken its field strength to allow the soul of physicality to go outside?
There is a maybe misunderstanding, maybe needs defining it in a better way that we all understand. You don't weaken, you transfer. It's very much in the dimension of acidic and alkaline. And you do not weaken. Plasma as its own, as a soul, stays the same. Doesn't matter it's inside the body of the man or the body man, the soul of physicality is inside it. Is transformation between one to the other. It's like it's the same skin of the ship. Depends, you pull it out and use it. This is what a lot of knowledge seekers need to understand. You don't weaken, you reduce the strength of the magnetic while you strengthen the gravity, but it's the same field. It's very much in the teachings when we say, where is the change? Always been one of the points of the science of today. What is the change between gravitational and magnetic field of the Earth? In fact, it's the same field. Depends where you're standing, as it rotates right through the structure of the Earth. This is what we have to understand. It's not weakening. It's changing the direction of flow. It's in changing the position, which makes you to receive than to give. But in fact, in the dimension of what you're receiving, you're giving more. Then you have a question.
Okay, from Antonio says, thank you, Mr. Keshe, for this great service to humanity. The golden age is truly beginning. My question is, changing energy into matter, can that matter be changed back to energy through this same process?
Of course. Of course. This is the magic of creation when you work with the field. The taboo of the science has broken. The not understanding has helped to change in understanding the interaction of the fields. It's just what I said just now. If you want to be in a plasma, and if you change the gravitational field force of center of the plasma, you manifest yourself as a field, as a matter. In fact, it's instantaneous transmutation. So if you were a copper, you became the energy of the copper. Now you become back to the copper. It's normal, but it'll be very interesting. One day, man produces a system that can measure the speed of fields of transition. We surely see a light, but the light is seen in two times. Once in the strength of the field of the plasma, and once in the strength of the matter transition. But the trick is how you change when you came to the matter state observation to actual matter is. That trick is inertia. And sooner or later, scientists have to understand inertia in its true essence. But our body does it automatically, because our body doesn't change into matter state, it's still in the Ganser state. When you look at the bone structure of the man, when we die, the only thing which is left behind is the bone, which is the man we leave in it, we break it, it's a matter state. But that bone inside, amongst the liquid of the limb, the muscle tissue of the man, is actually in the Ganser state. but behaves as a matter within the structure of the man. So the bone of the man, with that thin layer which sticks on the skin of the bone, creates a different condition that allows matter state lives within the cancer state. In a way, if we look at the structure of the man itself, we see the man inside himself. We consider our physical body as a physicality, but in fact it's a cancer state, an energy state. But the way this, what I call, if you understand the terminology, in a way is a cancer state, is a plasma state, is the soul encompassing a physical life, which is the bone, which is physical, tangible. So when we explain, you expand your soul to encompass the physicality of the man, you're already in a physical dimension encompassing the physicality of your bone. When you touch your tissue, it's soft, it's non-existence, it's you just push some plasmas aside and you call it your skin, your muscle or whatever. But when you push the bone, it's solid. It's matter state within the structure of the plasma. So we know this state exists, but we deny it. It's very amazing. When you speak to the especially in China, they've used this to block new technologies to come out. And when you put it to them, they deny everything. When I speak about the expansion of the plasma of the soul of the man to cover the physicality of man, we already know this because our muscles issues is in a plasma condition and encompasses our physicality of the bone within it. What are we afraid of? When you break your bone, you tear that shield, that skin of the bone. It becomes part of, it tries to become part of the plasma state, but it cannot break through. Even your bone goes through your skin. But when it's inside, it's in the matter state, encompasses through that layer of skin of the bone, its own environment. So we already know matter state of the body can exist within the plasma state. We call it the bone. So now the plasma state of the soul of the man will encompass the physicality of man. What are we afraid of? Why we allowed so much abuse? In lack of understanding of this, puzzled me for years. Any other question?
Okay, from Alfred says, Dear Mr. Keshe, thank you for the joyous news of today. My question has to do with nitrogen, which is presented here in the Netherlands as an enemy of the environment and is hijacking. By that he means a drastic reduction of cattle, building permits not given, and so on, the present situation. What could be a more enlightened view for one of the building blocks of the universes?
We were reading with one of the knowledge seekers in past couple of days about nitrogen. And Rick, can you go to Wikipedia and open up? This is very strange when you read it. Open up about nitrogen and how where we think nitrogen comes from. It's very, very funny. It's absolutely hilarious what we have in Wikipedia, which is a corner of our science and our children are taught how hydrogen is created. It made me roll with laughter. Read it. It's very, very interesting. Where is the source of hydrogen?
Okay, I'll just read that in the first paragraph here, I think, or perhaps not.
Yeah.
Nitrogen is the chemical element with the symbol N and the atomic number 7. Nitrogen is a non-metal and the lightest member of group 15 of the periodic table, often called the pnictogens. It is a common element in the universe, estimated at 7th in total abundance in the Milky Way and the solar system. At standard temperature and pressure, 2 atoms of the element bond to form N2, a colorless and odorless diatomic gas. N2 forms at about 78% of Earth's atmosphere, making it the most abundant uncombined element in air. Because of the volatility of nitrogen compounds, nitrogen is relatively rare in the solid parts of the Earth. Let me see here.
Remember what it says. It's relatively rare in the solid part of the Earth. Read the rest of it.
Okay. It was discovered and isolated by Scottish physician Daniel Rutherford in 1772. Carl Wilhelm Scheele and Henry Cavendish independently did so at about the same time. The name nitrogene was suggested by French chemist Jean-Antoine Claude Chaptal in 1790 when it was found that nitrogen was present in nitric acid and nitrates. Antoine Lavoisier suggested instead the name azote from the ancient Greek no life, as it is an asphyxiant gas. This name is used in a number of languages and it appears in the English names of some nitrogen compounds, such as hydrazine, azides, and azo compounds. Elemental nitrogen is usually produced from air by pressure swing absorption technology. About 2/3 of commercially produced elemental nitrogen is used as an inert or oxygen-free gas for commercial uses such as food packaging, and much of the rest is used as liquid nitrogen in cryogenic applications.
Can you go to where it says how and where the nitrogen on Earth comes? Can you see it? Or go on the internet and put the source of the nitrogen on Earth. Remember what you just read above about nitrogen. They say that nitrogen doesn't exist. And then when you go to another chapters of science, they say it's believed that the nitrogen was captured inside the inner layers of the Earth, and is gradually released, and that's why we have so much nitrogen. Read it in the papers. And this brings a laughter. One part contradicts the other. But what is important is that in all the present physics, in all the knowledge of the man, because man is ignorant to the reality of the creation, no science considers the interaction of the fields of the gravity and magnetic field, the speed of the rotation of the Earth, the interaction with the fields of the plasma of the solar system. Anything is considered to be produced, to be created. And this is where most of the world of science is abused and hijacked by scientists, depending on which side they sit, even not aware of the truth on both sides, some of them. And if what we say in the world of science, that when you rotate a magnetic field against the matter state, it creates current and energy as we use in turbines, then what happens when two magnetic fields, like Earth and Sun, interact? And they say nothing happens, nothing is created. And they don't want to accept the conversion of these magnetic field energies to matter state. So, in the present knowledge, in books, if you just check what is the source of nitrogen, they tell you it comes from the center of the Earth, because our scientists never considered actually the nitrogen which we see on the Earth comes from the upper atmosphere interaction of the fields of the two entity. And this is the essence of the creation in the universe. Depending on the place, position, and interaction of the fields, dictates what material is produced, and how far, to what distance, and what is the inertial and gravitational pull field of the planet that converts that energy into matter state due to inertia. And this is one of the biggest dilemmas at the moment in the world of science and conflict between the Keshe Foundation teachings and the present dogmas of teaching which we have in the schools. The gases come from the inner the material which encapsulating it, or encapsulated billions of years ago. And then we deny the truth about interaction of the fields, create plasma and energy, which then with the interaction of inertia leads to matter state conformation of the new materials. Because it's written, we can't accept it. As one of the Chinese leaders said in a meeting, we write the new books. Let them learn from us. The Chinese scientist sitting next to him said, is everything here explained is opposite to what is done by scientists and is written? And he said, now with Keshe technology, we write the books, let the people learn from us. And now we have to learn the truth. And we have to learn a lot of things in matter state does not fit into the plasma state. Matter state is shackled to physicality. Plasma state has the freedom of the universe. And you cannot explain one against it. How can you explain what freedom is when you handcuff yourself to a wall? The wall of ignorance of knowledge created by ignorant science who never understood and created that wall. Breaking that wall now with the new technology, understanding the wall of creation is very hard, because we accepted the past, and now if we go against it, we go against ourselves. What is stupid we've been to accept all that. All we agree that is knowledge of the matter, this is the knowledge of freedom. Any other question?
See, there's an article here from NASA, the astrobiology part of NASA, which deals with life in the universe. They talk about there's new insights about how Earth got its nitrogen, and they used to think that they couldn't have nitrogen originally on the inner planets because they were too close to the sun and it was supposed to evaporate the nitrogen or something. But now they apparently have changed their perspective on that, and they now say that the inner planets can also have these volatile elements in them, such as nitrogen.
Nitrogen is not volatile. You got to understand, we have to educate our people. I'm fully aware of what the question is, especially about Holland. The Dutch government is using this nitrogen as a tool to close many, many farms. But in fact, if they were wise, they use this nitrogen in expanding what you call the work of the farmers. They have brought so much false information that our illiterate politicians have accepted the false information. And if we look at the present time, the way we produce or give energy to plants without fertilizer through the gas technology, the scientists will not allow a drop of nitrogen to be missed, and they'll put more cows on their fields to produce more nitrogen. But our scientists are misinformed. They're paid by lobbyists, and lobbyists pay service to the lips of those who pay them. I once said to someone, and he laughed, I said, "You're not a lobbyist, you're a lipless, because your lip talks about who puts some money in your mouth." And if one day the politicians in Holland open their eyes to the truth, they will realize what damage they're doing to the nation. But that's a policy which is being fed by those who get benefited by it. Any other question?
Okay, we have a question from another person from the Brazilian community, Josafa. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for so many gifts. There is a wholeness in the emotions of the souls of a community. But as a band where we manage within a selective song and listen to the instruments separately, the souls each show their emotion and strength. The union of these forces directs a behavior in the environment. Often one of these souls has such a great strength that it dictates the behavior of the entire environment. Could you describe how the souls accommodate within these forces, even when the strength of some of the souls within the environment behavior brings discomfort to some of the other souls? Or in other words, how do souls accommodate? Absorb fields and release fields? Could it be plasma dilution?
It's accommodation. We accommodate. There is no dilution. We allow and we accommodate for this to happen. I usually look at the crime rates and domestic violence as a measure of integrity of a nation. And it's amazing what you learn. Just type, you say, let's say, Japan. And then look for domestic violence. Domestic violence is where always emotion involved. And then read what is the main structure of the domestic violence. How is it built? This gives you a way how to build systems which fits the Japanese way of life and thinking, and emotion and social structure. Social structure, it means acceptance of an emotion. Socially, Dutch accept emotionally to have weed. When you speak on you walk on the streets of Amsterdam, you don't walk, you actually float, because there's so much weed smoking back and forth that you don't actually touch the material, but you're smoking out of 20 secondary smokes after 10 people in front of and behind you. And socially, emotionally accepted. It's the same with the violence. When you look at the domestic violence of a nation, you understand the, what you call, the structure of the emotion of that nation. And how and the way you have to restructure your system to fit, to elevate them, that they move from this behavior. This is how emotion dictates physicality and the energy within it. And has got to the point that actually domestic violence has become national sport. And this shows the weakness. When a man limits a person, goes to the point of physical touch or emotional touch or psychological touch, it's already lost, has no emotion. Because the name goes with violence. It means I want to assert my way at any cost, and I'm always right. Look at the statistics on world domestic violence, and then you understand the emotion of a nation. True. Crime, street crime, does not give indication of the emotion. It comes from hunger, it comes from wanting something, it comes from whatever. But a good indication of the nation behavior, you look at the domestic violence chart. And then you see in some countries, women are more violent than the men in the domestic violence. And then you bring the emotion into it, and then you understand how things work. And then you understand the behavior of the emotion and the total understanding of the whole thing in respect to one nation. It's like when you go into the enhancement center, there are different fields, different people, but when you go in, you feel the fields of totality. We have the Germans, we have the Chinese, we have Iranians, we have Mexicans, Brazilians, Americans, all connected to it. But then you feel the emotion of all races in one go into place. And this is what has been ignored up to now in the world of science. You cannot run a society without understanding its emotion. You cannot run a physicality without understanding the emotion of its soul. And this is like the tablets of today. They fix you physically, trying to get chemicals made in your brain, but they don't understand the emotion which created that problem in them. And we don't have no tablets for emotion because it's plasma based. And now with the new technology, we are plasma. As we handle the viruses, we can elevate the emotion. And change the Any other question?
I had someone, Margaret, ask me, can you ask Mr. Keshe if he could prepare a GANs for cataracts to be available like the one for the knee GANs?
We have this technology. We have access to it. And is energizing and reversing. And yes, with the new enhancement units, which are now running in the centers, as you just seen, you can actually change cataract. But there are other ways that you, what do you call it? You can use specific systems to change cataract. But with fields, you're very, very, what do you call it, in a better position to change with the new enhancement units. But there are ganses for it, yes. I made it, and it's amazing, the work of it.
There used to be eye drops available in the Keshe Foundation store at one point, but I think that was removed.
Removed, yeah. It's like the, what do you call it, the knee ganses. We have to, it's, in the future, now in the hand, we are in partnership with our people. These kind of materials will be released rapidly. The whole thinking is more or less in the next 3 to 5 years to create a structure like bigger than Amazon for the products, where everything is controlled under one center. And these things will be part of it. I said before, one of the largest conglomerate organizations in the world has been set up. And our backing is not in millions. The backing in billions and trillions in the coming time. And it carries Chinese Keshe Foundation, Chinese Keshe Corporation. You will see it. And these kind of things like ganses and things will be part of the products of the organization. Should we call it a day, or do you have any other questions?
Well, we have a hand up from Dean, but I thought I would like to read the one question from a Chinese person from Yunnan province in China. Queening City. WX is his name. Says, I've cooperated with farmers locally to plant crops using GANs technology for 2 years. I mainly grow vegetables and fruits. At the present, I also grow grapes and strawberries. During this period, some problems were found. The irrigation facilities of local farmers generally have filtration devices. Among our cooperative farmers, the effect of applying GANs fertilizer without filtration devices is better than that through filtration devices, and the effect varies greatly. It is a common problem that some GANs fertilizers have little improvement in crops after being applied through systems with more filtration devices. My question is whether the GANs planting technology has been upgraded or updated, as the current usage method is not very suitable for local agriculture.
Yes, the way you tell us or we know use. One of the reasons they are not as effective because most of these systems carry metal springs and metal pipes or metal connections, and this changes the characteristics, absorbs most of the energy. Secondly, in the farming of today, I was explaining this to our knowledge seekers in the agriculture very recently, is that you apply half of the material, not all of it. You need to understand, especially with agriculture, you need to have the amino acid added continuously. I remember a guy telling me in Italian, he was putting oil on top of a pizza before. I said, why do you put oil on? He says, can you cook without the water? You cannot use fertilizers without the amino acid, and the amino acid will have a drastic change in your system. And this is one of the problems with the mass production of the plants. I was explaining to our people very recently that to have the same effectiveness as the gases you use at home is forever absorbing and feeding and adding to your gases the amino acid. But the biggest problem or the biggest part for present use of gases for farming is that the technology, the advanced technology of the production has changed forward. We don't use gases anymore in agriculture the way you do. When we did the test prior to Corona, Shaojin does most of the farming for the foundation. He's the expert for us. He used to travel to different part of China with ganses and help the farmers to mix the ganses with the seeds and everything else. And then if they didn't add the right amino acid, you get different variation in, what do you call it, harvest. The old way has a problem that the gases has to be sprayed again over the farm and everything else. The new technology, as we have discussed with and explained to our colleagues, Chinese colleagues, in the new structure, is that we don't need any gases anymore for agriculture. The new systems we have developed and tested will deliver what the farm needs, irrespective of what they cultivate. And the use of gases directly on seed the grains and then watering is become obsolete. This new technology, through dimension of the fields, is in the hand of the foundation, and once the new factories are set up across China, you'll be seeing it to be done, and we say goodbye to fertilizers. In a way, we change the environment, and that the environment allows increase in production and increase in harvest. But if you use pipes and gases and things like that, the effectiveness is not there because you don't carry the amino, you don't carry the glue, you don't add the amino acid to it. And secondly, if you monitor, in some farms you're successful, in some you're not, look at the valves and the spring system, if it's a metal on it or it's a metal across, because metal absorbs most of and transfers the energy of the gas. A lot has changed. A lot of technologies we kept in the background, now it's transferred directly into the new company or corporation. So we see them very rapidly. In the next 2 years, new technologies, new sciences, new materials will emerge out of the China Keshe Corporation. We will dominate the world of agriculture. We'll increase the harvest of Chinese farming by at least 3 to 10%, depending on different grains and products. In China, we'll become one of the main grain producers in the world replacing Ukraine. Now you know why. Keshe Foundation is committed to the Chinese nation to sign agreements. And we'll see the prosperity of the nation, and with it, the rest of the race of human race. And the technology which was given, held back, we brought forward to bring advancement and prosperity for all of us, because this technology simultaneously will be transferred through One Belt One Road agreements of China with all the nations who are part of it. Very soon there won't be any third world nation, there will all be one nation, and all come to technology, and support will come through Chinese destruction. Any other question?
I have a quick question before we let Dean speak here, and it's from Jefferson. It's about the microphone setup for the sessions. It says in Brazil we are unable to get the dual splitter to for the correct configuration, and what would be the impact in the deviation in the research results if we participate with only one system, as in the previous sessions?
The reason we recommended to get the splitter, you can still participate with the one headphone, but it works through the soul. The reason we recommended if you can do a second or a third headphone was to reach, because a lot of people are joining these sessions for different reasons to themselves. We heard they're joining because they have cancer, they're joining because they have cataract, they're joining because they're depressed. And this is all up to you. And if you join the last week's session, we don't recommend anything what to put, but we just say, if you do, this is what it is. If you could join into expansion of the soul to find wellness within the body, that's quite well, because you do it through the brain of the man. But in a way, when you use the second and third headphones, you show where they want it to be. Is my knee hurts? That's where I want it. I want my soul to be elevated. I feel depressed. It's an emotion of the man. And so the headphones recommendation is for you, and the new system does not have left or right headphones. It's set in a way that doesn't matter how you use it, it works. Any other questions?
Perhaps Dean could go ahead there.
Thank you, Rick. Good morning,
ahead,
Mr. Keshe. Mr. Keshe, you've mentioned many things today, as always in the Knowledge Seekers workshops. My question was going to be about the plasma of a soul of a government that takes on this new condition that you brought forward. How would this affect the, first of all, economically, which I think we understand the impact it will have further on down the line, but emotionally for the other nations, that once one nation has this plasma as a soul incorporated within their system, how will this affect the other plasmas of the governments and the souls throughout the rest of the globe, the planet?
I tell you what I said to the Chinese leaders in the meeting. And is, when you speak to Biden, what would you like him to hear? You can plant words in his mouth through his brain and soul. And what he says this time, you know is the truth, because you planned, you decided operation of the soul. Because you elevate it, you don't control it. The biggest fear is if the Chinese leaders become so aware and so self-centered with the power they give it, that they start a new dilemma in what we call world leadership. And now we have this technology, we are ultimate. And I always warn them of that with this technology, your nation has to become more humble to serve and not more arrogant that we have. And so with that frame of mind, we'll see the elevation of the peace across this planet. When you do technology in exchange for peace with an African nation, let's say with 100 billion budget a year, which 30 billion of it goes on defense, soldiers, and the rest, now that 30 billion is available to the nation, you change the life of many people. And that's the commitment we'll take in exchange for technology development. And with it, you deliver technologies with shots. In our thoughts and the way we think, and it will most probably take shape in the new structure. Let's say if you have a disaster like an earthquake we've seen in Turkey recently. Many people suffered with pain, many suffered with lack of many things. Many suffered with lack of medicine. When we position the Chinese satellite over the zone, immediately, with the immediate effect, we feed this nation. We'll supply food through energy, we supply medicine through energy, and they take what they like. We shower prosperity, life on them. And this is where it becomes rapid deployment. Nowadays, when we have an earthquake, when we have damages, the survival takes months and years to receive supplies of water. We have shown in our tests we can change the environment. So if it's in the middle of winter, we can change the weather to mildness. And we have seen it is done. It can be done. But you have to know how and why. You don't make deserts to become green, because without the desert, the earth's condition will change and it brings more harm. But temporarily for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, till the structure is rebuilt, people have home, they don't need to suffer with cold in tents. They don't need to be short of food because you feed through the system. They don't feel hungry because they know food has arrived, it's already there. And I think in the next couple of years, working with the Chinese organization, we'll deliver this kind of satellites to disaster zones. We learn more because this become part of the colonization. There's no use going to another planet with, as I say, monkey suit. We have to be free. We have to feel the touch of the love of our child on moon. We don't cuddle and kiss and feel each other till one day we come back on Earth. Because the rest of the time we're in monkey suit. You should be able to feel that at any point in the universe. And this technology gives that opportunity. And if we can do it in space, we can do it in disaster zones.
Mr. Keshe, how did the Chinese landing on the moon go? Did they manage to retrieve the flag?
We tell you when it's done.
Okay.
We tell you. A lot of things with us, with Chinese, is tied up with security and non-disclosure. And today's disclosure, what we disclosed, so we already informed the Chinese. We got public.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for everything you're doing. Quite amazing. Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. Keshe Foundation has become one of the organizations which will bring change in conjunction and partnership. And I'm sure more and more nations will join this cooperation. And in the long term, part of the structure is to spread the knowledge to bring peace across humanity through prosperity. And prosperity is when no child sleeps hungry and no man dies in the streets of Washington, frozen to death with cold.
That is the beauty of
Thank you
what
very
you're
much for
sharing,
today.
Mr. Keshe. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, it's all of us. Keshe Foundation is all of us. You taking little pictures and being there to share the knowledge on video camera to those who spread gases in the streets of Mexico and Brazil, and the old lady in Shenzhen pouring gas water into the oceans and the sea and the rivers. We all done our parts to where we got today. And it's just started. It's not finished.
Yeah, thank you for connecting all the souls, Mr. Keshe. It's when I meet other fellow knowledge seekers, and I see the emotions that it brings in them. And many people, when they first come, it's first of all they come and they always have a problem, an issue with an emotional imbalance in their body that turns into a physical imbalance, and it draws people in, and then you see the plasma start to work with them, and that you see the emotions start to change. And I don't think sometimes people realize it could, because it's such a big readdress of the condition that if you took it over a period of time, and they go back to the moment they first became aware of it, and and let the plasma in to themselves, which is already always there. But once they do this later on down the line, and they look back, it's quite a big difference to their emotional state that's taken place. And it's that initial point where you allow it to happen, where you open up.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll see how we'll bring the change. As I said, for years, my problem was creating finances to build up the factories, and we saw the cheating and everything on which went on in the past couple of years around us. Now that burden is gone. I don't have to worry about where and how the factories are run, how the wages are paid. This is guaranteed by a nation. And all for us is to develop new technologies to guarantee prosperity of man. And what I've seen, Chinese have planned, and we've seen in past time, you will see one of the most advanced factories, structures, and what I call the style of work.
Mr. Keshe, can I quickly ask another question? Because I think it's an important one, because many people's understanding of China, when I speak to people here, they always say, oh, China. I hear so many things about it in the wrong way. Can you just open up and explain a little bit about why China is going to, why it's going to be such a the right place for this technology to bloom and to be brought to the world?
China, mainly two ways, two things. Their line of thinking is very much in line of us. They don't have a religion. Okay, some are Buddhist, and then we have the others. There's no fanaticism the way we see embedded, except the Muslims in the west of the country, which touch the Islamic world. And so you find a balance in Taoism patriotism and the other part of the upbringing of the nation. Secondly, in the West, we are always been poked to be afraid of something that with that, they allow us to think how better we are and how more powerful we are. And this is the problem. When you speak to the American military, I've spoken to them many times over the years, they are the superpower. We have the nuclear. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. When I sit and talk and eat with the Chinese military, they talk, we don't want war. And we have to create weapons to stop the Americans to their aggression. If we can stop the American weapons, we want peace. That's all we want. And it's totally different. I've sat and I ate with American generals, and I've sat and ate with the Chinese generals, military officers, which is forbidden for a civilian to be with. And it's the pleasure to sit with Chinese military. And it brings into convulsion when I sit with American military. It's all about killing. It's all about superiority. It's all about destruction. It's all about weapons. I sat with them for 3 or 4 hours in Seoul in 2008. And I saw how evil a man can become. And in the past 5, 6 years, I've sat with many Chinese military people.
You still there, Mr. Keshe? I think we lost you after you said Chinese military people.
Yeah.
Well, bear with us a minute while Mr. Keshe reconnects. I think he lost his internet connection.
I'm back. Some people don't like us to talk. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you now.
Yeah, what did you hear?
Just when you said Chinese military people, that's when we lost the connection.
Yeah, Chinese military people always talk about peace. American military people talk about weapons, nuclear, and war. And it's very strange for an Iranian nuclear physicist to sit with both sides. One of the maybe the only one or very few, which could walk the American embassy in Brussels as an Iranian nuclear physicist. I've been to the headquarters of the CIA and American embassy and all sorts. And I've sat with them for many times in South Korea and everywhere else. They always talk about superiority, killing, and this and that, and everybody else is wrong except us and our weapons. When I speak with the Chinese military, it's a pleasure. It's absolute pleasure to work with these people. They talk about peace. We want to stop this war race, weapon race, and spend the money on our nation. But we can't do because the Americans. I said, now we have the technology to stop all their weapons. What's going to happen now? What is going to happen to massive Chinese army? It's going to be a dilemma with them because there's no more enemy. You strip the enemy of his biggest, strongest sword. And then we see the nation is different. Taoism has a strong life in Chinese culture. Whatever I heard in the past before I come to China, when I look at it, it has no meaning. It's the brainwash of Fox. You walk the streets of Beijing or furthest villages, you see cleanliness we don't even see in Switzerland. We see the safety which doesn't exist. In the West, we cannot even think of it. They can't tell us that because they can't give it to us. So they have to develop China. I lost my phone sitting on the shop front waiting for a bus a few years ago. And I thought, that's it, I lost my phone, it's gone. And within a couple of hours, my phone was back in my hand. It doesn't happen. In Europe, your phone lost, it's gone. They break it up, it's gone. You walk the streets of Beijing, you walk the streets of China at night, it's as good as safe as daytime. And they have to make it. There is poverty here. There's without a doubt there is poverty. It's 1.4 billion. And so much to do. But everything is as much as possible has been brought. Don't forget, you have to change culture and life of billions. In Europe, we still have many children going hungry at night because there is no financial there. It's the same here, the same as Africa, and this has to be changed. But in general, you find humans inside the Chinese culture because they have suffered so much. I have a lot of respect for the Chinese because I understand where they came from and where they are going to, and they're in a transition time. When I came here in 2008-7 for the first time, there was scaffolding, all these things, building and building everywhere. When I look at the horizons of Beijing, you hardly see any. If there isn't, the development has gone, it's finished. And in that process, they have taught their people how to be. You don't see anybody littering in China. It's an impossibility. In Italy, littering the high streets and motorways is national sport. You find bed, mattresses, cupboards, rubbish bins of the house on the highways of Italy. I lived there 6 years. It's national sport, as I call it. And it's amazing. I haven't become Chinese to say this. I've lived amongst them long enough to see the society and the structure. There are still a lot of faults and a lot of things to be done. But in general, there is a lot of fear in the nation. And that fear has come through changes. But that fear stops them doing a lot of wrong things and keeps them on track. You got to understand, before His Excellency President Xi of China comes into power, bribery and all sorts of criminal work was part of the structure of the government itself. And it's taken Xi 10 years plus to change that. From the judges to ministers to street cleaners, were all involved in it. And they put people on the street and built houses on their land because they could make profit. He's put an end to a lot of things. There's a lot of uncertainty, transition, and with it have brought a lot of confidence in the nation. And I remember in July of 2023, in July of 1976, my brother arrived, as he saw, from Tehran into London. And when he sat in the car going from Heathrow Airport home, he said, "Why have I come to live in this village? This is worse than Tehran." And they say, England is a beautiful place. We live in a better lifestyle in Tehran than here. I want to go back. Because they fed us different thing, that the streets of London and Europe are this and that. And where we came from, Tehran, London was a village. And now I see the same thing in China. When you come, you appreciate how beautiful country. There is change, there is transition, but most of the transition is done by the last generation. And you walk the streets of Beijing and other villages, your towns, and I have had the privilege of traveling all of it. And you feel, but you feel safety. You feel good. And it's there, it's part of all the nations have different characteristics. The nation is going through a transition. It hasn't stopped yet. I think China needs another 50 years to complete this transition. But where it is now is very different. You don't see violence on the street. Impossibility to see violence here. As you know, in London, every night after 8, 10 o'clock, you don't want to walk the streets, even daytime. Drunkenness, violence, beyond imagination. I've been in China 6, 7 years, going and coming, never seen the violence. Car accidents here is very rare, extremely rare. Because in chaos, there is order, in order there is rule. It's different type of living and life than we are used to when they have made the devil of China, because they can't tell them how good it is. Like Gaddafi in Libya, he gave everything to his people. They were the richest, most comfortable nation, and they made the devil to get in there to get to Central Bank. Don't believe what you hear on Fox, because the name goes with it, Fox. I'm sure many of you will come to visit us in December, and you'll understand China is not what they made us to believe to be. We went through a transition. It's not perfect. We're still going through transition, like every other nation. We are catching up with technology difference, with advancement, which creates problem for generations and separation. But in general, what you dream in the West, you live in China. It's not a dream, it's a reality. No crime on the street, no drunkenness, no theft. You leave your bike on the street, you come back and pick up your bike on the street. Nobody touches it. As I said, I was in Forbidden City 2 or 3 years ago. As we were going through one section to another, up the stairs and to the platform and going downstairs, different palaces, whatever they call it, I noticed a Chinese girl with a backpack open, with an iPad open on it and whatever. And I tapped her on the shoulder. I said, "Excuse me, your backpack is open and your iPad, everything is shown." She said, "Sir, this is China, it's safe. I have no worries. I'm not in Europe." And I stood on the platform of Brussels train station, and I saw Belgium opening back up a Korean, backpack up a Korean. I said, "What are you doing? This, what are you up to?" It has nothing to do with you. That's the difference in the culture. You have no fear of guns on the street. You have no fear of whatever. You never see a drunk man on the street of China. And you never see dirt. If it is happened, it gets cleared up very quick. But you see beautifully dressed people, even better than the West. Now, taking that culture takes a long time. Thank you very much. And see you next week. Hopefully, we'll learn more from each other. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, thank you everybody for attending today's 495th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Any leftover questions you can hold over until next week and we can answer them then. Let me see, our next public teaching workshop, let me get the calendar up here, will be coming up Tuesday, July 25th, which will be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice. That starts at the 4 p.m. Central European Time, and that's with members of the Universal Council who will be presenting the workshop and answering questions for folks. All right.
It just come in once, please. Those of you who enroll to be in the session, for 5-day session in Manchester, please make sure your visas and everything is in order, that we don't have delays in arrival. And book yourself into one of the hotels in Manchester. Manchester is a small city center, and the conference will be held within the city center. It's a beautiful city. I lived there for 30 years, and it's an amazing city. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, I guess that wraps it up for today. Thank you once again, everyone, for attending today. And we'll see you in the next public teaching workshop. If not before then, we'll go out with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. Bye for now.